Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on that levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's stream. We've got a massive, I think the biggest of the year so far, college basketball slate. How are you feeling about today's slate, Chase?
A little bit overwhelmed. I was up pretty late last night trying to go through all the games, taking a look at every game, and a little bit overwhelmed, but I'm ready to roll. We love these types of days.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of work, even just with the model, to pour through all of the games. I think there's what, at least 110 games today. I don't remember the exact number, but it's certainly over 100. So what we've got in store today is as follows. As you can see on the screen, we have 5 categories of games. And we have one game that we're going to pick for each of the first 4 categories. The last category is our best bets, where we're going to have different games for each of the different categories. As we're talking today, everybody in the chat, please let us know what you are on. As part of what we're doing, I'm going to throw up some polls to get the lean of the audience for each of the picks that we throw up. See how you guys do on these games. And the last poll that we're going to throw up is to see what the audience's favorite bet of the day overall is, and that's going to be taken just from reading the chat, seeing the different bets that you guys like for today. So again, let us know what y'all are on. Without further ado, Chase, you got any last words? You want to get started?
No, let's quit wasting time. Let's get into it.
All right, so category number 1.
Degenerates only.
I was looking at Ballsack State -4 against Dickhead State. Ballsacks covered their last 10 straight games, and my boy says they're a wagon.
So category number 1, as you can see, is, as it was last time, Degenerates Only. Our Degenerates Only is a game that is kind of ridiculous for some reason. There's no reason that you'd be on this game unless you're a fiend for the...
Which we are.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Which we are. So the game that we're talking about today is the game between Southeastern Louisiana and Nicholls State. So why is this game for degenerates? The reason for that is because the Southland Conference is doing this weird tournament right now. They're playing all of their games in a neutral site in Katy, Texas, and it looks like they have a little mini tournament going on. So they've played 3 games now in 3 days. Southeastern Louisiana and Nicholls State are the 2 teams in the Southland Conference that have won each of their first 2 games. I think that a lot of people have become pretty infatuated with the Southland Conference over the last couple days, just because the slates have been a little bit smaller. But in this game, we have Nicholls State as the, air quotes, home team. They're not actually at home. Again, it's in Katy, Texas, which is a neutral site for this game. Both of these schools are in Louisiana. Nicholls State is favored by 5.5, and the over-under is set at 151. Chase, do you have any thoughts on this degenerate game?
I have a few thoughts. An interesting game to handicap, actually. I think I'm going to end up betting on this game because I like Nicholls State. I think they're actually a pretty good team for the Southland Conference. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up winning this conference. They have 6 losses on the season, and they're all against pretty good teams. They're all against teams in the KenPom Top 100, and a couple of them are really good teams. Baylor, Purdue, Wisconsin, a couple of top 25 teams. So they've played a tough schedule, already in the non-con, and I think I'd lay the 5.5 here in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Nichols minus 5.5 as well. This is a kind of sneaky, solid team. They were a game away from making the NCAA tournament last year. I believe they lost in the Southland Conference Championship to was it Stephen F. Austin or Sam Houston State? One of those two. But both of those schools are gone. They're not in this conference anymore. They have both left for the greener pastures of the WAC. And Nicholls State, like you said, has to be the favorite at this point to win this conference. There is a lot of athleticism and a lot of size and a lot of talent up and down this roster, which is pretty unusual for the Southland, especially considering the powerhouses that have moved on from the conference. As far as, I mean, I completely agree with everything that you said. I think that they've played a tough schedule. Oh, and Maddie Ice, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Appreciate that. That is too kind of you. So yeah, I like Nichols. Let's see where the poll is at. And again, if you guys have not voted in the poll, be sure to do that. It looks like everybody's on Nichols. We got 9 votes on Nichols. Only 1 vote on Southeastern Louisiana.
A little public intoxication on Nichols.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Any thoughts on this total, Chase?
Tell me the number again.
151, 151.5, kind of depending on the book.
Yeah, Nicholls State's offense is pretty good. They've gotten into some high-scoring games already, especially against the better competition. I just think it's a really high number. I don't think I would bet the under there, but I would lean over. I don't think I would bet it, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm going to take a look real quick and see what the model says. So the model has... Oh, I think it didn't run for this game, actually. It wasn't out in the schedule when I started running the model.
That's how degenerate of a game this game is.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't even know that they were playing each other until late in the day. But yeah, I think that 3 games in 3 days is going to mean tired legs, and I think that that's going to sneakily affect the defense a little bit more than the offense.
Good point. And also, they'll be a little bit more used to the rims in Katy, Texas as well. I think that makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, that's another good point. So I will go ahead and throw up Nichols as the audience lean here. Going to go ahead and end this poll and move on to category number 2, public intoxication.
Public intoxication.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
All right. So for anybody who does not know, Chase here works for Action Network. So Chase is the go-to resource for where the public money's at, where the sharp money is at with these games. And I think Chase has picked out a good one that the public seems to be all over today. And what game would that be?
Yeah, this is a heavy public game today. We're looking at Baylor TCU. The public loves the number 1 team in the nation. Baylor's getting 85% of the public bets and 99% of the money. 3.4 thousand tickets so far, so that kind of puts it in the mid-range, towards the bottom of at least the big games today in terms of how many people are betting on this game, but the people that are heavily on Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, and TCU does not really feel like an appealing team to bet on here. They are at home, but against the number 1 team in the country as a not so impressive team getting less than 10 points. I'm not surprised at all that a lot of the public is on Baylor. So everyone be sure to vote on the poll that we have up. But Chase, any thoughts on this game?
You know, I think, and maybe this is just my gambling brain, but 9 is a lot more enticing than 10. Once we get into double digits, I actually kind of can see TCU keeping this game close. Baylor's played a couple of close games as of late, and I think their defense is good enough to be able to stay in this game. Once it moved to 10, I kind of started leaning TCU. I'm not sure if it's a game I'll bet on, but I think if I was going to, I'd take the 10 points.
So is this? Yeah. So this is, I think, still sitting at 9.5
Okay.
right now.
But,
So
yeah.
I think at 9.5, I'm kind of with you on Baylor here. Maybe that makes me a square, going with the public. But this Baylor team is really good. I mean, even in their kind of off nights, they've still come pretty close to this number. Let me pull up their schedule real quick.
Yeah, it
and see
seems
how
like
they've looked.
a lot of their recent games have fallen right around this number, actually.
Yeah, so they beat in their first two conference games, beat Oklahoma by 10, and then at Iowa State they won that game by 5. TCU has been on a little bit of a COVID pause and has not played a game in conference yet, so we don't really know how they're going to perform against high-level competition. They are 10-1 on the year, but they haven't really beat anybody. I would say that their best wins are against Texas A&M, Utah maybe. Santa Clara is a really, really good mid-major team. That's their only loss. They lost that game by almost 20 points. So I'm not sold on TCU.
They haven't played anybody. A win at Georgetown by 7 is kind of a good win. I know Georgetown's ranked 130 on KenPom, so not great, but I think that was a pretty good win 2 games ago.
Yeah, but they definitely haven't played anybody the level of competition as Baylor. And Baylor, as we know, has played a pretty tough schedule. The two Big Ten games to start, the 2 Big 12 games already to start conference play. Game against Villanova, game against VCU, Michigan State. They've played a lot of tough teams. I think TCU is going to be a relative piece of cake. So the model
total of this game.
Yeah, so the total's at 139.
Kind of like the under in this game a little bit.
Kind of like the under. Do you want me to throw that up as a lean for you?
It depends. Yeah, I'd rather do that than one of the sides. Are we allowed to do that even on public intoxication? Because public is typically just one side of the spread.
Yeah, I think with this category we should go with just the spread.
All right, if we're going with the spread, I'll go plus 9.5.
TCU plus 9.5, or
yeah, I'll take TCU. I don't feel great about it. I wouldn't tell anybody to bet on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Baylor here. Model has Baylor by about 13.5. I'll side with the model here.
What does it have on the total? The model?
It's got it at like 147.
Okay, so way over.
Yeah, way
Yeah,
over.
pace would worry me. I like these two teams' ability on the defensive end, but pace would worry me about.
Yeah, so looking at KenPom tempo statistics, Baylor 107th in the country in pace, but TCU plays quite slow. 67 possessions per 40 minutes, down at 262nd in the country. So a lot of people saying fade public, or B Hauser at least saying fade the public. The poll is about, well, seven votes on Baylor, 4 votes on TCU. So go ahead and throw up Baylor. The chat, you guys are the public. I guess I'm the public here also. Like in Baylor.
I do love that Baylor team, though. I think
this Baylor team is really good.
Number 1.
So, are we ready to move on? And again, everybody, remember, tell us what your favorite bets of they are. I saw somebody earlier said San Diego State minus 2.5 as their favorite bet. Loco said Bama. Oh yeah, you guys have some comments there. So we'll got some stuff to work with for the best bets later on. All right, category number 3.
Court streakers.
We're going streaking! Yes!
And what better way to have Court Streakers, episode number 2, than to follow with the same team that we featured last time in Davidson. Last time out, Davidson was on an 8-game spread covering streak. They played St. Joe's as a 4.5 point favorite, and they blew St. Joe's out of the water.
So that one was easy. I tailed you on that one. I joined you.
No, I really like that play. I really like this Davidson team. I think they can do some damage in March. So
absolutely.
we're going back to the well today. So Davidson, after that win, is now on a 9 straight game ATS covering streak. Today they are taking on the Rams of Rhode Island in Davidson. Davidson is 7.5-point favorites in this game, and the over/under is set at 134. What are your thoughts here, Chase?
I kind of wanted to let you talk me into Davidson in this game.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk you into Davidson. I actually like the Rams here. I like Rhode Island to end Davidson's wagon streak. I think that 7.5 is too many points, and I think that defensively Rhode Island is a good matchup into Davidson. Rhode Island plays a pretty heavy pressure defense. They have a lot of agile, active defenders who will attack on the perimeter. And for Davidson, as a team that relies so heavily on three-pointers, I think having that kind of disturbance is a pretty significant hindrance. We've seen Rhode Island play a couple other teams that are really reliant on three-pointers. A team like Bryant that they played in the non-conference schedule comes to mind. That game was the tale of two halves. Bryant was really hot from deep in the first half. And then Rhode Island just completely shut them down and ended up blowing them out of the water in the second half. So I think that something along those lines is going to happen here again. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Rhode Island wins outright.
All right, that makes me feel a little bit better because my initial lean was going to be Rhode Island on this game, but I had a feeling that you were going to be able to talk me into Davidson.
Nope,
just because of how good Davidson has looked.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk you into Davidson here. So you're on Rhode Island as well?
Yeah, for a lot of the reasons that you laid out, their ability to defend the three-point line and their ability to shoot threes as well and sort of stay in that game. Obviously, it's going to come down to three-point shooting, which means anything can happen. But I like Rhode Island. The one thing that would worry me about Rhode Island is they turn the ball over a lot. I think they're in the 200s on Ken Palm in turnover rate offensively. So if they get in trouble turning the ball over, it could be a blowout.
Yeah, that is definitely the risk. If Davidson accumulates a lot more possessions, then even if the three-point efficiency is a little bit lower, they still definitely have the volume and the capability to cover this game. So the model has Davidson winning this game 67-65.
Okay.
So a Davidson win, but a Rhode Island cover. Also, it feels a little strange getting a Davidson game with a total of only 134.
It seems low. Yeah,
it seems really low. They do play slow, but the offense is just so good. They are so good at putting ball in basket.
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to make our lean on a streaker game, the total, but I do like the over in this game.
Yeah, so the model likes the under here. It's got the total at more like 132 as opposed to 134. Just a super, super slight lean for the model. But I probably would agree, as much as I don't like picking against the model. Yeah, 134 just feels too low for a game like this. So looking at the poll, you guys gotta pick up the pace. Come on. Only 7 votes on this poll. Maybe just nobody has any thoughts about this game. Or everybody was on Davidson, and then we liked Rhode Island, and they were like, eh.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it's actually still close. 4 votes on Davidson, 3 votes on Rhode Island, 6 on the over, and only 1 on the under. But again, since this is court streakers, we're actually not gonna worry about the total. I only threw the totals in here because we had confusion on Twitter about the formatting, so I wanted to keep everything consistent top to bottom. But it looks like somebody last second votes came in for Rhode Island. So now Rhode Island has 5 votes. Davidson has 4 votes, and we have consensus here. I think last time, the only time we had consensus across the board with you, me, Ben, who was here last time but is not going to be here today, and the audience was on Davidson last time, surprisingly enough.
And that was the easiest pick of the night?
Mm-hmm. So we have actually consensus twice in 3 picks here. Although it's a little easier to build consensus with only 3 people picking as opposed to 4. So let's move on to the game of the day. And some people who were talking about this game earlier in the chat are probably going to be a little excited to see that this is our game of the day.
Game of the day.
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star.
So, our game of the day is going to be coming to you from the Mountain West Conference. We have Colorado State, undefeated, going on the road out west to San Diego State, taking on the Aztecs. San Diego State at home, favored by 2. Total, last time I looked, is set at 135. So Chase, you're I get maybe not an actual Colorado State fan, so you're a Colorado buff.
I'm a buff, yeah. We should probably make that clear here. So there's always going to be a little bit of a bias. There's also a couple of buff logos.
So first, I guess tell us about what is the rivalry like between Colorado and Colorado State? Is it like you look down on them?
Anybody that has a little brother and older brother knows what the rivalry's like, because it's a little brother, big brother rivalry. They tend to care a little bit more about CU than we care about CSU, but I still don't really like them. I don't root for them in anything. So there's still a little bit of hate from the big brother as well.
So what about this basketball game? Are you surprised to see the undefeated Colorado State Rams being 2-point underdogs here?
Not really. I think the spread opened at about the number that I expected it to be. I was thinking 2.5, 3 in San Diego State, just because they are the home team. CSU hasn't played a true road game all season. They haven't played even close to a road game. All of their games have been either neutral or on their home court. So I think that's going to make a big difference in this game. But San Diego State's a good basketball team. They might not have the undefeated schedule like CSU does, but they're ranked right around them in KenPom. I believe they're 41 on KenPom, and CSU is like 39. So at least the analytics think that this is a pretty even matchup, and then give San Diego State the home court advantage.
Yeah, I think this number makes sense as well. And I think what's interesting is that this is really going to be strength versus strength. So looking at the KenPom metrics, Colorado State, one of the absolute best offenses in the nation, 17th in the country in offensive efficiency versus 101st on defense. San Diego State is the complete opposite, 9th in the country in defensive efficiency and all the way down at 137th on offense. So you kind of have strength versus strength when Colorado State has the ball, and relatively speaking, weakness versus weakness when San Diego State has the ball.
Yeah, I think San Diego State can cause enough problems for CSU offensively. We've seen CSU go cold at least in one half, and it's typically been the first half for them, and then they seem to pick it up in the other half. But I think San Diego State can cause some problems defensively.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Ben in the chat, who's tuning in despite his face not being on the screen, is completely right. The games last year between these two teams were absolutely insane. Some of the best basketball games of the season. Maybe not if you had action on the side that got the bad beats, but from a neutral perspective, I mean, there was the game Colorado State was up by how many points? And then or was it San Diego State?
San Diego State was up 24 or something. I think it was 24.
Yeah, in the second half, and then Colorado State came all the way back.
And that's kind of the first time that we started to take notice of CSU when they rode that all the way into the NIT, but they were kind of a tournament bubble team after that big win.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Colorado State ends up, even as an at-large, in the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that they would deserve it.
And they already have a couple big wins, I think, that are going to help them.
Yeah, Purely Retro, thank you for the follow, or for the Prime sub. Appreciate that very much.
One other thing of note, Matt Bradley, I was surprised to see that he's shooting just 27% on the three-point line this year. He's been pretty cold shooting. He never shot below 36% in the season while at Cal, so I think he's going to start to figure it out a little bit at San Diego State. So I think that that's only going to go up, and he's obviously the straw that kind of stirs the drink offensively for San Diego State. So it's just something interesting to know.
Yeah. So what is your lean here? Who do you like?
I like San Diego State. I don't love it at 2.5. 3-2 makes me want to bet it, but I was hoping that this line keeps on moving and it ends up closing around like -1.5. And that's kind of the spot that I'd bet San Diego State.
Yeah, I'm showing this at 2 on DraftKings right now. But a -115 on the -2 as opposed to a -105 on the +2.
Yeah, so getting there, but not quite there yet.
So the model actually has this pretty much spot on with where Vegas is. We have San Diego State winning this game 65.7 to 63.3. So a 2-point cover or 2-point win for San Diego State. If this moved to 2.5, then the model lean would switch. That's kind of how tight the margins are here. The model, though, does like the under, relatively speaking, quite a bit, with the total down at 129.
That's about 6 points? What is it, 135 something?
Yeah, so like 6 points on the under. So I'm actually going to throw up the under 135 as my lean in this game. And Ben says to ask Chase, if Colorado State made the Final Four, would you cheer for them?
No, unless they're playing Nebraska, which they would not play. Possibly USC, Oregon, because I really don't like those coaches. Those are probably the three that. Yeah, those are probably the only three. Otherwise, I wouldn't root for CSU.
Yeah, Ben. What about? I mean, there's no Big Sky team that's going to make the Final Four. Who's Northern Colorado's big rival? Do they have a big rival? But anyways, let's take a look and see what the poll said. Yeah, in pick 6, completely right. Don't fade the model or you end up in the homeless shelter. I think Ben said that on Trent Stream a couple days ago. So it looks like we have 4 votes on Colorado State, 4 votes on San Diego State, 5 on the over, 3 on the under. So the audience lean is going to be...
They are fading the model. They're going to end up in a homeless shelter.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think a lot of them voted before they knew what the model said. Maybe if they reran the poll, they'd go back and change their minds. Maybe not, though. All right, so it is time for the final category of the day.
Big Brain Plays.
Come on. Think. Brain Blast!
So before we get started with our favorite picks of the day, I want to go through and put together a poll of everything that the audience likes. So I see Loco J earlier said Alabama -13.5. I will throw that in the poll. Sick Money said Oklahoma State +2.5. Show Me the Unit said Kansas State game over. Let's take a look and see exactly what that line is at. It's Kansas State, West Virginia over 131.5. Somebody's talking about Villanova at 9. Yeah, B. Hauser said that. I think he's probably still here. So throw in Villanova -9. Oh, Retro says DePaul +9. Pick 6 is Oklahoma -6. I'll throw that one in. Not going to throw in 2 competing picks on the DePaul and the Villanova. We'd have a split audience on that one. And Clarence said Kansas State +9. So I'll throw that one in as well. So go ahead and vote on that. I believe last time the chat's favorite pick of the day back on Wednesday was Florida -1.5 against Alabama, and we all know how that went. So be sure to do better this time. Pressure's on everyone.
I guess that means we were 2-2 in our best bets. Although mine was a little shaky because I had it 4.5 and it closed to 5.5 in most places. So
I mean,
I don't know how many people won off of my pick.
It's just about. I mean, you can only give out the line that exists at this moment in time.
Right.
So I'll go ahead and start out, just moving left to right. My favorite bet today is going to be a game that we have not talked about yet. I am going with Belmont minus 16 against Tennessee Martin. So Belmont is the best mid-major team that nobody's talking about. I feel like they got a lot of sleeper hype at the beginning of the season, like in the preseason. But now that we're actually playing games, I feel like a lot of that hype has completely died out. I don't hear anybody talking about Belmont. I literally can't remember the last time I saw anybody mention Belmont. But they're a really good team. They're 11-3 on the season. Losses on the road against a really solid Ohio team, at an extremely good LSU team, and at home against Dayton. Aside from that, they also have some pretty nice wins. They beat the Iona team that knocked off Alabama. They beat Furman. They beat Drake, a win against St. Louis. And Tennessee Martin is bad. They are quite bad. I think they're not quite as bad this year as they have been in the past, but this is still not a good team. They're 6-8 on the year, but they haven't really beat anybody good. Maybe UNC Asheville or Austin Peay is their best win on the year. They haven't played that many good teams, but when they have, they've been getting stomped. They've been in that 15-16 range, even against more mediocre mid-major squads. 15-point loss to Western Kentucky, 12-point loss to Middle Tennessee State, 17 against Western Illinois, 26 against Drake, 28 against Tennessee, who's a really good team. And this Belmont team is not going to let off the gas. They play really fast. Tennessee Martin actually also likes to play kind of fast, which is why I'm more comfortable with the spread as high as 16. I think just with more possessions, the better team is going to separate themselves. And lastly, the model has Belmont winning by almost 24 points. So Chase.
So I was going back and looking at Belmont. It was a game I bet them early on in the season, and they screwed me, and I was trying to figure out which one it was. But now I'm going to have to hop back on the Belmont train, because whenever that happens, I typically hop off the train. But I think I'm going to join you on that bet.
They're 46 in KenPom, despite being an 11-3 Ohio Valley Conference team.
Yeah, really high for a 3-loss mid-major.
Retro. I'd take Belmont at 16.5 too. I think that's 16.5, 17 is my limit here. But Chase, what is your favorite bet of the day going to be?
We're going to head to the Conference of Champions, Pac-12, Washington State, Utah. I'm going with Washington State +2. One interesting thing about this game is Washington State lost to CU. Utah beat Washington lost to Washington beat Utah. CU beat Washington State a couple days ago. So both these teams are coming off of losses. I like this Washington State team. We talked about them at the beginning of the year. I think they're a middle of the pack Pac-12 team. But most importantly, Utah's best player has been Brendan Carlson, 7-footer, 7-foot center. And I think Washington State has the athleticism and the depth with their big men to be able to slow down Carlson. Utah also has a couple of good guards, and I like Washington State's defense a lot. So I'm going to go with Washington State +2. I don't think they should be getting points in this game. I think it's wrong team favored type of situation.
Yeah, I like it. Like you said, I'm a big fan of this Washington State team. They were like my big sleeper team at the beginning of the season. Been a little rough for them as of late, But I mean, it's not any bad teams that they've lost to, and they've kept a lot of games close.
And they've lost 4 out of their last 5, which almost makes me feel better that they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, but I mean, 5 points at Colorado. I don't think that's...
Yeah, all of them were close games, too.
Yeah, 6
Boise
points
was
against a really
6-1.
solid Boise State team, 3 against New Mexico State, 3 against San Diego State. I mean, those are all teams that can
2
win a game
points to
in March.
USC, who's undefeated.
So I like this. I like this play as well.
What does the model say about this game? I didn't look at it.
Model has them winning by has Washington State winning by about 4.5 points.
Okay, so they also think wrong team favored.
Yeah, wrong team favored from the model as well. So the poll has finished up, and it looks like Oklahoma State plus 2.5, receiving 6 of the 12 votes.
I'm going to say it. I'm on Texas in that game. I just think Texas is getting better and better, and those transfers are starting to sort of figure it out, and I just think they're a much better team than what Oklahoma State is this year.
Yeah, I kind of like Texas also. Model has Texas by 6.8 points, and I'm kind of with you. I think that it just the thing that's had Texas struggling this year is just like stupid turnovers and players not quite being on the same page. And I think that'll kind of continue to sort itself out over the course of the season. A lot of talent on that team. Trey Mitchell is one of my favorite players in college basketball. I like
me
Texas
as
there
well. I liked him at UMass, and he was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's when he became one of my favorite players last year. Is watching him beat up people in the non-conference schedule for UMass before they had their massive COVID buzz. So. Anything else, Chase, or anybody in the chat have any games that you would like us to talk about? I think we've got a little bit of time. If anybody has any discussion points, if not, we can call it. All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat right now, so I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So, very important note to make right now is we are gonna start streaming again in an hour. We have Ben and I with an NFL stream for the 2 games coming up tonight, streaming at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Going through the model scores for the game, going through the entire player prop markets. So be sure to join us then. So we got a couple questions in the chat now about some games. We'll touch on those. C. Silly says Long Island. I don't really have any thoughts on the Long Island game, although I can say what the model says. Model has Long Island by 10 in that game. I'm not really sure what the spread is. It's Long Island minus 6. Model has also a total of 146.8 to the Vegas of 148. So nothing that the model is super strong on in that game. What do we think about the Kansas game?
Yeah, this one should have some pretty big COVID impacts. Texas Tech was missing quite a few players against Iowa State, including 2 of their top scorers. And so that game was what, on Wednesday? Yeah, because we talked about it.
Yeah.
So that's less than 5 days. I think if those guys tested positive day of, then they're not playing again today, which makes me like Kansas in that game. I think if they do play, then I could see this game being a little bit closer, but Kansas is far superior team without Tech's top 2 players. Or top 2 scorers.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's a fade spot. I don't really want to touch it with all the COVID impacts on Texas Tech. What about... Oh, DB Trek says, do I like UAB? I like UAB today. I like UAB quite a bit. Although I think that spread has moved from overnight.
I'm interested to know what the model says for Oklahoma.
Yeah. I locked in UAB at 8 last night. I'm showing 10.5 right now. So I think at 10.5, it's much more borderline. Oklahoma. We have Oklahoma taking that game by 2 points against Iowa State.
I thought that number was pretty high too. I already bet it. I think I bet it at 7.
Yeah, I'm showing a 6.5 right now.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game, which just makes me like, I'll take the points in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, for sure. Model has the total basically spot on, the 129. What about the Alabama game? So the spread there is Alabama minus 13, total of 149.5. Missouri is really bad. Model has Bama by 11 and total of 150. So barely a cover for Missouri. I mean, I don't like betting on Alabama. It just kind of comes down to how well they shoot the 3 in that game, and it's very hit or miss. Feels kind of uncappable if they're going to shoot well or not.
They could win that game by 25-30 or win it by 5, and I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, so I think that is going to wrap up the stream. Thank you all, as always, for being here. Thank you again to Matty Ice for the 5 gifted, if you're still here. We appreciate that a ton. Ben, I see your question. I think I have to look after the stream. Let some stuff refresh. Thank you, Chase, for doing this with me.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Be back on Wednesday.
Yeah. So, stream schedule. College basketball streams Wednesdays and Saturdays right now at 1 p.m. Eastern time. NFL, going to be me and Ben in an hour. No. Yeah, in an hour. That's how math works. At 3 p.m. Eastern time, talking about the 2 NFL games today. And then we'll be live at 11. No. Ben, what time do we stream on Sunday? Why am I blanking this? We're going to be live at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow to go through all of the NFL games on Sunday.
I have like my 2 teams playing in NFL today. I'm a big Eagles fan, and obviously I follow the Broncos, and I couldn't be any less interested in those 2 games today.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot at stake. It's kind of like, eh.
Is Kansas City playing for any first seed in the AFC, right? Could happen.
Yeah.
Titans lose and they win.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really see how they lose that game. So they're like playing for something, but it's not. It doesn't feel very suspenseful.
Broncos are playing for a draft pick.
Yeah.
They can get what, number 8 or something? I read in that area. But yeah, that Cowboys-Eagles game is for literally nothing. And Cowboys have a bunch of COVID issues, and the Eagles are going to play their backups.
Yep. So, gonna call it here. Thanks again, everyone. Good luck on the bets today, both ones that you already have pending and ones that you have that have yet to start. And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Thanks, guys.